Have you ever had a problem you couldn't solve? Maybe you went to the store to look for a solution, but came home empty-handed. More and more, when this situation occurs, people are creating their own devices as the solution. It's all part of the maker movement, made up of thousands of resourceful people who make and fix things, rather than buy them in stores. Makers do all sorts of hands-on projects, from building pizza ovens to designing their own drones. For makers, the do-it-yourself approach is often more affordable, sustainable, and satisfying than simply looking to buy the solution to a problem. Thanks to technology, it's easier than ever to turn a concept into reality. Many makers use the same tools, just in different ways. For example, Arduino is popular among makers. This open-source mini controller is used to develop a variety of electronic devices. Arduino allows people to do anything, from creating a talking clock to studying DNA, with very easy-to-use hardware and software. Raspberry Pi is another popular maker tool. This mini computer is only the size of a credit card, but it's as powerful as some full-sized computers. People are using Raspberry Pi for a wide variety of applications, from creating video games to powering robots. Another key piece of technology for makers are 3D printers, which allow an average person to generate just about anything. You can even use a 3D printer to build your own 3D printer. The availability of these technologies inspires people to be creative. But technology is only one part of the maker movement. Collaboration, whether online or in person, is just as important. This is clear from the growing popularity of maker fairs, events where people come together to experiment in the areas of art, science, engineering, and technology. So, do you have what it takes to become a maker? You need to be creative and willing to play around with some new technologies. You should also want to share your ideas with others. Perhaps most importantly, you can't be afraid of failure. Innovators hardly ever get it right on the first try. Be flexible, be creative, be cooperative, and have fun.
Do you have a great idea for an invention? Would you like to be a maker? Well, what are you waiting for? You don't need to be an adult. Teens all over the world are becoming innovators. You also don't need to have a lot of money. It's possible to create with affordable devices such as Raspberry Pi. You can even find donated or recycled items to work with. Whatever you decide to do, make sure you're flexible in your plans. You'll probably experience failure at least once during your experiment. But if you're willing to try several different approaches, you'll eventually get the result you want. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be hearing from innovator Tan Lee. When they first began designing their emotive insight headset, Tan and her team wanted to learn more about a healthy brain. They also thought the headset would help improve human-machine interaction. Once the headset was successfully developed, the team decided to make the technology open source. Researchers and developers can now access and adapt the technology for their own goals. As a result, the headset is being used for a wide variety of applications. It's especially useful for helping disabled people. People who have limited movement can control things with their mind. People who lack the ability to speak can use the headset for communication. A disabled musician can even create songs without ever picking up an instrument. The headset is used for safety as well. A car is being developed to sense if the driver is paying attention. The driver, wearing a headset, can control the car if he's focused. But as soon as he's distracted, the car knows to slow down. Even children can benefit from the emotive insight headset. One company experimented by asking children to wear the device and then used 3D printing to create real objects just from their thoughts. As you can see, the technology is extremely exciting. This afternoon, Tan will tell more about these developments. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Tan Lee.
Can you create a song without singing or playing an instrument? A project in the United Kingdom called MindTunes made it possible to do just that. During this project, DJ Fresh, a popular dance DJ, worked with 3 disabled musicians who couldn't move independently. The musicians wore EEG headsets that tracked their brainwaves. One of the participants describes the process as being a matter of feeling. You don't have to be able to read music, he said. It's all about how you feel. The 3 musicians' thoughts were recorded and interpreted. The headset then sent wireless signals to a computer where DJ Fresh put the tune together. At the end of the experiment, their thoughts were transformed into some great dance music. Better yet, the song became a hit, and all of the money it made is being donated to help the disabled in other ways. Now that's music to everyone's ears.
Great failures. People who learned to try and try again. You've learned about Tan Lee's incredible innovation, but that didn't come instantly. Tan and her team tried many times before finding success, and Tan's not alone. In fact, for many, success is the result of overcoming great failure. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter books have sold more than 450 million copies and have been translated into 77 languages. But before she became famous, Rowling said of herself, "I was as poor as it was possible to be. I was the biggest failure I knew." She sent her first book to 12 publishers, but they all rejected it. However, Rowling was persistent. After a year of trying, a publisher finally accepted her manuscript. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone became the first novel in a series that would become the best-selling young adult books of all time. When you hear the name Albert Einstein, you probably think genius. But many of Einstein's teachers thought he was lazy and wouldn't amount to anything. When he applied to university, he was turned away because he failed the exams. He spent an entire year preparing to retake them before he was accepted. After graduation, he struggled to get a job because none of his teachers was willing to give him a recommendation. However, Einstein was determined and worked hard. While he worked as a clerk, he continued his studies. He eventually published papers with his theories, and these works changed the field of science. In 1921, Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics. Japanese businessmen Masaru Ibuka and Akio Morita met during World War II. After the war, they started a company repairing radios. When they visited a house to repair a radio, they would receive a bag of rice in addition to payment for their work. This gave them the idea to build and sell rice cookers. Unfortunately, their rice cookers didn't work very well, always over or undercooking the rice. But this failure didn't discourage Ibuka and Morita. They continued experimenting with electronics. Their company, Sony, found success making portable radios. The Walkman made Sony one of the most successful companies in the world. Today, Sony is known for everything from electronics to movies. These stories show us that failure isn't a sign of losing. In fact, it's part of the process. As Tan says, it's like 2 sides to a coin. You can't have success without failure.
You've learned about inventor Kelvin Doe, who made his own radio transmitter at 14. He was later invited to study at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He learned a lot during his visit to the United States, but Kelvin missed his community and his family in Sierra Leone. Deepika Karup visited India and became concerned about the supply of clean water available there. So, at the age of 14, she set out to work on a way to create clean water. She invented a device that can be placed into a bottle of water to purify it. The bottle is left in the sun with Deepika's invention, and the sun's energy works with certain chemicals to kill the bacteria and other pollutants in the water. At the age of 15, Kenneth Shinozuka saw the dangers that Alzheimer's patients face because they tended to wander off. Kenneth saw this happening with his grandfather, who suffered from the disease. To help people who care for Alzheimer's patients, Kenneth invented a sensor to be worn in socks that will help track location. An alert is sent to the caregiver's cell phone when the patient begins to walk. 13-year-old Richard Turere was in charge of caring for his family's cattle. However, at night, lions would come to attack them. Richard soon realized that lions hate moving lights. So he invented simple, solar-powered lights and put them up to protect his cows from nighttime lion attacks. Since he installed his lion lights, none of his family's cows has been killed.